Sister Wives star Meri Brown caused quite a stir when she popped up with a mystery man just days after the holiday. Following her divorce and official split from Kody Brown, Meri has dated non-exclusively here and there. She had a romantic relationship with a man named Amos for a few months, but things didn't work out between the two. However, her recent share has caused Sister Wives fans to wonder whether she has found someone with whom to be exclusive again. Over on Instagram, Meri posted a selfie with someone she tagged under the handle Papa Brandon 1005. They looked happy to be in each other's company, with smiles on their faces. Meri Brown teases Christmas miracle. However, it was early autumn in Flagstaff, and the changing leaves whispered of transformation. For the Brown family, the air carried not just the scent of pine and crisp wind, but anticipation.
Today was not just any day.
It was Kody Brown's special day, a tradition that he himself had declared years ago, where each wife and child celebrated him, not as the patriarch, but as a man who tried, however imperfectly, to hold his family together. The day started with Janelle, ever the practical one, waking early to prepare his favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes with turkey bacon and a fresh pot of dark roast coffee. She worked quietly in the kitchen of her RV, balancing nostalgia and frustration as she reflected on the years they'd shared. Things weren't perfect now, far from it, but today wasn't about complaints. It was about honoring the good. Meanwhile, Meri, in her Utah Airbnb-turned-permanent home, had sent a long, handwritten letter through one of the children who was visiting. The letter didn't shower Kody with praise. It was raw and honest. "We've lost something," she wrote. "But on this day, I choose to remember the man who once danced barefoot in the kitchen to make me laugh." She included an old photo of the two of them from their early days in Wyoming. Robin, now the closest to Kody both physically and emotionally, had planned an elegant garden lunch. She'd ordered a custom cake, decorated with the words, "To the man who tries." It was soft, respectful, and carefully worded, much like her approach to Kody these days. Their relationship was strained under the weight of being the last wife standing, but she still wanted this day to be special. Christine, now happily remarried and living her own vibrant life, wasn't expected to participate, but she did. She sent a video message, bright and confident, holding little Truly beside her. "Hey, Kody," she smiled. "We've come a long way since Lehi, huh? I won't pretend everything was good. But you gave me beautiful children, and I'm grateful for that. Happy special day. Be well." Kody, sitting in the backyard of Robin's house, watched the video on his phone. His eyes misted over, but he quickly wiped them, trying to maintain his composure. This year, more than any other, the day felt different. There was no group dinner. No big family gathering like the early days. Instead, the day unfolded in fragments: a text from Logan, a FaceTime call from Aspen, a homemade drawing from Ariella and Solomon. The family was fractured, but still orbiting each other in their own ways. In the afternoon, Kody went for a drive. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. He drove past the old Coyote Pass property, where his dream of building one big family home had once lived. He pulled over, stepped out, and walked to the middle of the dusty field. "This was supposed to be the future," he whispered to the wind. But futures don't always unfold as planned. Love changes. People grow. And sometimes, the strongest thing a man can do is let go. As the sun began to set, painting the Arizona sky with hues of orange and crimson, Kody sat alone on the hood of his car. His special day hadn't been filled with grandeur, but it had been filled with truths. And maybe that was enough. For the first time in a long time, Kody felt something unfamiliar. Not power, not anger, not control. However, the stage lights flickered on as the camera zoomed in on the familiar brown leather couch. The sister wives, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and Robin, were seated in a line, their expressions a mixture of weariness, frustration, and tension. It was time for the sister wives, tell-all special. Host Sukanya Krishnan smiled politely as she addressed the group, her voice smooth but pressing. "Tonight, we're diving into something many viewers have noticed over the years: jealousy. specifically jealousy over Cody's time. All four women visibly tensed. Meri spoke first, her voice low and distant. I used to think I was above jealousy, that I could handle sharing my husband, but when you start seeing him spend night after night with one wife, while you're left alone, it chips away at you. She paused, looking down at her hands. I was the first wife. I thought that meant something. Christine nodded slowly, her voice stronger. I didn't just feel jealous. I felt invisible. Cody would come over, but his mind was always somewhere else, usually with Robin. I try to be okay with it for the sake of the family, but you can only pretend for so long. Janelle, always the pragmatic one, offered a more measured response. I never wanted to compete for time, but eventually I realized I was competing, and I was losing. That's not what plural marriage was supposed to be. All eyes turned to Robin, the youngest and most controversial of the wives. She looked uncomfortable, but not surprised. I know I get more time with Cody, she admitted. It's not something I planned or wanted to hurt anyone with, but we have a strong connection and Cody chooses to be with me more. That's not my fault. Christine leaned forward slightly. But you didn't stop it either, Robin. You didn't speak up when we were being pushed aside. The tension was thick. For years, the jealousy had bubbled under the surface. Now, on national television, it was erupting. Sakanya asked gently, "Do any of you blame Cody for this imbalance?" There was silence. Then Meri answered quietly, "I used to think it was just the nature of plural marriage.
But no.
I blame Cody too.
He didn't try.
Not after a certain point.
He chose where to spend his time.
And it wasn't with me." Christine added, "He had a favorite. And we all knew who it was. That kind of favoritism destroyed our unity." Cody, watching backstage, rubbed his temples. He knew this moment was coming. And deep down, he knew they were right. Later, he was brought on stage to respond. "I didn't handle it well," he admitted, his voice low. "When things got hard with Meri, with Christine, I pulled away. I gravitated toward peace, toward Robin. I didn't think about how that looked, or how it felt to the others." "But did you love us all equally?" Janelle asked softly. Cody hesitated. "I loved you all, but not equally. Maybe I wasn't capable of that." The room went silent. The tell-all special ended not with resolution, but with raw honesty. The jealousy over Cody's time wasn't a rumor, it was real. And it had changed everything. After the cameras stopped rolling, Meri sat in the hallway, quietly gathering her things. Christine was already texting her daughters, making plans for a weekend trip. Janelle sighed, but her expression was calm. Robin stood alone in a corner, wiping her eyes, her usual composure broken. The sister wives had told all. And now, they were all deciding what would come next. However, it was a quiet afternoon in Flagstaff. The desert breeze swayed the curtains of Meri's living room as she sat on the couch, holding a warm mug of tea. She had a feeling that today's conversation would be important. Mariah had texted the night before. "Mom, I need to talk to you. In person. It's important." Meri's heart had fluttered nervously ever since. As a mother, she had learned to trust her instincts. And this instinct told her it wasn't just a casual visit. When Mariah finally arrived, she looked both nervous and confident. There was a calm resolve in her eyes, something Meri hadn't seen before. They hugged tightly at the door, holding on for a moment longer than usual. "I'm so glad you're here," Meri said, ushering her daughter inside. "Want some tea?" Mariah shook her head and sat down. She looked directly at her mother, her voice steady. "Mom, I've made a decision, and I need you to hear me out." Meri nodded, bracing herself. "I've decided to fully leave the church," Mariah began. "And I want to start a new life with Audrey, away from the Brown family's traditions, away from polygamy, and everything that doesn't align with who I am." Meri felt a lump form in her throat. She wasn't surprised. She had seen Mariah wrestling with this for years. But hearing it out loud, it still hit differently. Her only child, the girl she'd raised within the faith, was stepping away from it. There was a long silence. Meri stared at her hands, the tea untouched. Her mind flooded with emotions: fear, sorrow, relief, pride. "I always thought you'd come back," Meri whispered. "That maybe one day you'd see value in how you were raised." Mariah leaned forward, gently taking her mother's hand. "I do see value in it, Mom. I learned strength, resilience, love from you. But I have to walk my own path now. I want to marry Audrey legally, maybe even adopt a child someday. I want freedom." Tears welled up in Mary's eyes, but she blinked them back. This wasn't about her. This was about her daughter's happiness. "You know, when I joined this family, I did it for faith, but also for love," Meri said softly. "And loving you means letting you go where you need to go, even if it breaks me a little." Mariah smiled, and a tear rolled down her cheek. "Thank you, Mom." That evening, after Mariah left, Meri sat alone in the soft glow of a table lamp. She looked around the house, full of memories, photos, and silent echoes of laughter. She knew the world was changing, and so was she. She picked up her journal and began to write. "Today, I let go. But I didn't lose her. I just made room for the woman she's becoming." The next day, Meri visited the rest of the sister wives. She shared Mariah's news, her voice calm but proud. There were mixed reactions. Robin looked stunned. Janelle offered quiet support, and Christine nodded thoughtfully. "She's strong," Christine said. "She takes after you." For the first time in a long while, Meri smiled through her tears. "Yes," she said. "She really does." However, the Flagstaff morning sun filtered softly through the tall pine trees as Meri sat on the porch of her Airbnb rental, a warm mug of herbal tea in her hands. It had been months since she and Cody had shared any meaningful conversation. Their relationship, long strained and often silent, seemed like a relic of the past. But something had shifted recently, something subtle, yet undeniably present. A knock on the door broke the morning stillness. Mary's heart skipped. It was Cody. "Hey," he said, his voice calm but unsure. "Got a minute?" Meri nodded slowly.
Sure.
"Come on in." Cody sat down across from her, his usual energy subdued. He looked tired, like a man who had been wrestling with himself. "I've been thinking about us," he began. "About how things ended up this way. I know I haven't always handled things right." Mary's eyes welled with cautious emotion. She had waited years to hear something like this, but it came so late, after so much pain. "I used to hope we'd get back to where we were," she replied. "But now, I just want peace, whether we're together or not." Cody looked down, then slowly met her gaze. "I don't know if we can go back. But maybe we don't have to. Maybe we can build something different, something new." For the first time in years, Meri didn't feel invisible. Cody wasn't making empty promises. He was acknowledging the hurt, the years of silence, and the missteps. They weren't jumping back into romance. They were simply communicating. They began meeting weekly, sometimes for walks, sometimes just coffee. They laughed again, not as lovers, but as old friends rediscovering a bond that had long been buried. One afternoon, during a hike in Sedona, Meri paused on a red rock overlook. "You know," she said, smiling faintly, "if someone had told me a year ago that we'd be having normal conversations again, I wouldn't have believed them." Cody chuckled. "Me neither. I thought we were completely done." "We were," she said. "But maybe that version of us needed to end, so a better version could start." Their progress wasn't dramatic or flashy. It didn't involve big declarations or sudden reconciliation. It was slow, cautious, and deeply rooted in mutual respect and healing. The other wives noticed the shift, especially Robin, who had long been the closest to Cody. She gave Meri a sincere hug one day, after a family dinner. "I'm really happy for you both," she said. "No matter what this becomes." In a confessional interview, Meri reflected, "I'm not saying Cody and I are back together. I don't know where this is going, but we're talking. We're honest. And that feels like a miracle in itself." Cody, in his own interview, admitted, "I've done a lot of soul-searching. I think Meri deserves more than I gave her. Whether that means friendship or something else, I'm willing to find out. And for the first time in years, both Cody and Meri felt hope. However, the summer heat in Flagstaff was just beginning to ease when Meri received an unexpected message. It was from someone she hadn't heard from in over a decade, Christine's former best friend, Alicia, who had once been like family to them all before everything fell apart. The message read, "Hey Meri, I know it's been a long time. I'll be in town for a few days. If you're open to it, I'd love to talk. There's a lot I regret. Alicia." Meri stared at the screen for a long time. Alicia had once been so close to the Brown family that she was often mistaken as Cody's potential fifth wife. But Alicia had left the circle during one of the darkest times, after a falling out with both Christine and Robin, and amid rumors that she had once dated Cody in secret. Alicia came into their lives through a church event. Young, vibrant, and fiercely loyal, she bonded with Christine instantly. They laughed together, raised their children side by side, and even planned a shared homeschooling co-op. But over time, Alicia and Cody developed a strange connection, one that was hard to ignore. It wasn't a physical affair, at least not openly, but there were long conversations, private walks, and a deep emotional bond. Christine began to feel jealous, though she didn't want to admit it. Robin noticed the shift too. "She's not a sister wife, Cody. She doesn't live our values," Robin once warned. When rumors of Alicia and Cody's closeness reached the wider family, tensions exploded. Christine confronted her best friend in tears, while Cody refused to speak on the subject. Alicia left town a week later, and no one heard from her again. Meri, always the peacemaker, decided to meet her. They met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. Alicia looked older, wiser, but still had that spark. "I'm not here to stir up the past," she said. I left in such a horrible way. I lost my best friend. I lost you all." Meri nodded cautiously. "It hurt. What you had with Cody, whether it was innocent or not, it divided us." Alicia's eyes filled with tears. "I never meant to hurt Christine. I was lonely, and Cody was kind. But I crossed emotional lines, and I own that. I should have stepped away." Meri took a deep breath. She had her own complicated history with Cody, and now, with the family fractured, she wondered what healing looked like. "Christine's moved on," Meri said gently. "She's stronger than ever. But I think closure is something we all need." Christine was in Utah when she got the text from Meri. "I met with Alicia. She wants to apologize to you. No strings. Just closure. Up to you." Christine hesitated. Her life was so different now, single, happy, finally free. Did she really want to revisit that pain? But that night, as she sat by the fireplace sipping tea, she remembered the laughter with Alicia, the late-night talks, the shared dreams before things turned sour. And she realized she had forgiven her long ago. She just never said it out loud. Christine and Alicia met at a park with a view of the mountains. "I blamed you for everything," Christine said. "But I've come to realize Cody made choices too. We all did." "I wish I had left sooner, before causing so much pain," Alicia replied. Christine offered a smile. "We can't change the past, but maybe we can learn from it." They hugged. Not as best friends, not as sisters, but as women who had lived, hurt, and grown. Back in Flagstaff, Robin watched from a distance. She wasn't ready to forgive Alicia. Too much had happened. Cody, surprisingly, remained quiet about the reunion, perhaps ashamed, perhaps reflective. As for Meri, she felt proud for helping build a bridge. The sister wives were no longer what they once were, but healing, in all its messy, imperfect glory, had begun. And sometimes that was enough. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Sabrina. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.